Hello, 102ers, and welcome to the last week of the first half of the class. After this one, it's all going to be moving downhill pretty quickly. Are you ready for that? So here we are at President's Day week, and a lot of you are probably wondering why we still had school on Monday. I don't know, folks. It's well above my pay grade. Sorry. Hopefully you'll forgive us and continue on with this week in the best way possible, so let's do it. So let's talk about the rest of the week, shall we? Heading to the masterclass schedule down here on the right-hand side, clicking on it, and then waiting for it to load, scrolling all the way down to week 7, which, as you can see, is the beginning of week 3. Well, hey, that means there's going to be a bit more reading this week than usual. I'm sorry. It's building up your base and your theory behind what's coming. So we have 5 new items to review and 2 assignments to complete, including the very important Unit 2 essay, which is worth 20% of your final grade. Because I have a feeling this will be a rather long video, I'm sorry about that. Let's just get started, shall we? The first link here is what is an argumentative research paper, and, you know, hey, it shows you how to do the argumentative research paper. That's the biggie, folks. It's going to be worth, by far, the most points of anything this semester, 25% of your grade, and the first 2 papers build toward this. It's not due for a while, but it is good to start thinking about it now. Once again, the details you need are here, including these cute little graphics that I still don't think do anything. You can go through here and go through the Google Slides, which is great, but the requirements are kind of what you care most about. I also have my secondary document, which I believe does the job much better, and it's much more succinct than this. Like the Unit 1 and Unit 2 supplementary material I gave you, the Unit 3 features 2 pages of instruction and then full sample to show you how to format your organization and develop your ideas and put the sources in there and all that wonderful stuff. So you can look at the sample right up here if you'd like, which is fine, no problem. Or you can look at my sample. But if you're really smart, you'll look at both and see how they compare and contrast to show you exactly what you need. To cover the basics, just so you're ready, let's dive very quickly into the material, and you can find your own copy attached to this week's announcement. It is. As you can see, the biggest change to start is that we're moving from 3 to 4 pages in Unit 1 to 4 to 6 pages in Unit 2 to the mamma jamma 7 to 8 pages in Unit 3. Remember, I want 7 pages minimum, not 6 pages in a paragraph or 6 pages in 3 lines, 7 full pages. After that, everything sort of falls into the same categories. APA formatting, source materials needed. I'll be looking for a minimum of 7 sources. You've already found 4, so you only need to find 3 more. Only third-person point of view, and avoid using first or second person. Once again, first person is I, me, my, we, us, whatever. And second person is you, your, yourself. Third person, he, she, it, they, them, John, Sally, whomever. Okay? This paper will be worth 25% of your final grade in this class, so this one needs to be focused upon because for the vast majority of you, it will make the difference between passing and failing. What I mean by that is not a threat, but unless you are going into this paper with a 96 or higher in the class, and you get a 0 on this, you know, hey, that's going to be a problem. So anyway, we've got the steps here, which you've already developed an argumentative thesis statement. You've already got context. You've already started looking at opposing viewpoints. You've been doing APA formatting. And honestly, you can look at the rubric if you want. It's on the Brightspace page. So now you know how you'll be assessed. Then we have our structure, a single paragraph introduction with the hook, with the background, with the thesis statement. You've got a developed background section where you're going to be explaining all the information that your reader needs to understand your thesis. If you can't do that, then your reader's going to be walking into this blind, and that's not a good thing. Your argument will be a minimum of 3 reasons. Why do you believe that your side is the better side? Give me 1 reason, 2 reason, 3 reason, okay? You're going to be using C-set throughout this section, as well as the counter-argument and rebuttal. The counter-argument will be why the other side is correct, and then the rebuttal is going to show why the counter-argument is incorrect to begin with. Again, C-set will be used in here. And then finally, your conclusion. One brief recap, and then something that's going to kind of release your reader back into the wild, something that's going to be interesting, a call to action, perhaps. So these first 2 pages are all about the structure of the paper, whereas the next bunch of pages, I think it is 3 through 14, is going to be the actual paper itself. Remember, we have the page number up here, we have the title in bold and a gap, your name, the department where you're getting it from, the school, and so forth. Again, I'm not going to go through every little bit of this today because you have until week 14 to do this, but I wanted you to just kind of see once again where we're going to be formatting. Introduction, we have our background section with our headers. We have our in-text citations here. Background seems to be 2 paragraphs. Fantastic. Then I want you to illustrate your claim. Claim 1, it's this. Then down here, claim 2, it's this. Down here, claim 3, it's this. And I believe, oh yes, look, claim 4. You just have to have a minimum of 3. I'm not going to stop you at 3, okay? Then we have our counter argument, we have our rebuttal, and then finally our conclusion, followed by our references page. And take a look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sources. You need a minimum of 7, but honestly, a good rule of thumb is for every page that you have typed, you should have a source. Now, this one obviously doesn't really do that. Let's say you have 9 pages and 8 sources. That's fine, okay? So that's what it's going to look like. After you've seen your future, we can now go back and find out what a classical argument is. By clicking on here, we find this page, and basically, there are 2 videos on this page that you can watch thoroughly, and that's pretty much it's on this page. But let me try to explain it just to make it a little bit easier for you. An argument is not just 2 or more people yelling at each other. An argument is multiple perspectives on a single topic. It also requires support for each side, or else we're looking at a simple assertion, which becomes more than the understanding of the argument. It's just, I'm angry. Okay? I'm wrong. You're right. No, you're wrong. I'm right. Whatever. That's not it. Once you have finger pointing, yelling, and spitting, it's not a real argument. It's just a fight. And that's what most people picture when their argument itself features very few key elements that you would need to know. An argument truly always begins with a thesis, the statement that can be proven true or false. Once the thesis is stated, then the person stating the thesis has to prove that thesis. It's not just a matter of saying, this is what I believe, so disprove me, because that's actually a logical fallacy known as burden of proof. Remember all those movies and TV shows you watched where the scenes took place in a courtroom? The prosecution has proven their point. They cannot just state an idea and hope everyone else does the work. Same thing here. Once you state your thesis, you provide solid evidence to break down the thesis into smaller claims that you can use to prove the entire idea. You'll need at least 3 smaller claims to show how your side of the argument is the stronger side. Once you develop your side, you must be open to the prospect that your opponent, or the other side of the argument if you don't want to view this as an adversarial thing, has at least 2 or 3 good points on their side of their thesis. Since you will not be team writing this paper with somebody who disagrees with you, you will have to do both your argument and the counter-argument, which means that you will have to be fair and complete with the opposing side in addition to your own. Additionally, you also have to support the opposing side, which means showing how, in some cases, your side might be a bit weak. Once you go through the counter-argument, you then have to provide the rebuttal. This is where you can show that your reader how the counter-argument, while possibly having a couple of good points, is nowhere near as strong as yours, so it won't overwhelm your original argument. If it did, then you may want to rethink your original argument. Overall, the basics of an argument are pretty much similar throughout the world, and even throughout the last few, millennia. We really haven't thought about changing how arguments are done because it's worked so well since a few hundred years BC when it was first formalized. So knowing that, we can go back to this page and we can look at the next one, which is the qualities of a good research question. This is actually probably one of my favorite pages that somebody else created because, honestly, I don't have any issues with it. In order to move forward with our paper, we need to have a solid direction for our research, which begins with our research question. So how do we create it? By looking at this page. You can look at it more in depth, but I just wanted to I want you to remember that a good question is not opinion. It's not opinion. And a good question can actually be answered using solid research. If it cannot be answered using solid research, it's not a good topic for the time being. Once you think of it this way, you can glide through the process knowing that you have a solid base. So once again, it's got to be answered in an objective way through research. It can be answered using existing information. And it's honestly, if it hasn't already been answered or hasn't been answered completely, hey, this might actually be a good way to follow through, okay? Back here one more time. We're going to research questions and search tips, which, there we go. It's a general review of everything that we've done, right? It shows you an easy step to move from your research question to claims, and you can prove within your argument. It's not simply a 1 or 2 word idea. There are a few shifts in thinking to worry about. So look through this page and see the examples given. I've found that it's easier to do this than to explain it. Once you start putting your own questions in the positions of the samples here, you'll be able to start seeing how things start to shift in your own mind. So when you start putting your questions in and your statements come out, then you have a question statement, and you're able to do that. You can take a look through EBSCOhost or SIRS if you really want to, but that's really going to take care of it. It's kind of a short page, okay? And then I believe, yes, it's our last document to look at today. So what we're going to do, there we go, thesis statements. Again, a general review. Anything you've ever talked about with thesis statements basically is here. So if I were you, I'd focus on, in these samples, maybe the divorce topic and the job market thesis, because these are the two best. This one here and this one here. This one here is great because we're talking about direct ideas. We're talking about absolute no-fault divorce. We're talking about the marital breakdown. We're talking about fair settlements. It's a very clear thesis statement. Down here, we're talking about exactly what we believe. High school diplomas are not significant enough to land a stable, lucrative job. They're very clear. These other two, this one's a little bit vague. There's not a lot of information in there. And then this one is just god-awful. Somebody tried to put this in here to look smart and look cultured, but it's not even correct. And it's just really embarrassing for somebody who has a degree in English literature, like I do. So, let's go back down to here. The idea of the thesis statement, well, it's not too bad, but it is a review of everything you've ever learned. So you'll need to learn about your thesis statements at practically every stage of your education, and this is just kind of reinforcing it for you. Just remember this, because if anything else, your thesis statement must be supportable and specific. If you cannot support your ideas, they don't count. If they're assertions, that means they're just opinions, they won't work well for your argument. If your thesis, like the drug education one above, is just too all-encompassing that anyone can fit anything in there, you're casting your net far too wide. Now down here, just make sure that you remember supportable and specific. Because again, assertions are what I think, what I feel, what I believe. And let me say it again. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you feel. I don't care what you believe. I care what you can prove. Sounds nicer that way, doesn't it? I don't care what you think. I don't care what you feel. I don't care what you believe. I care what you can prove. So make sure that you can prove what you have. Whew. That's a lot of information so far, huh? I knew this video would be long, and we're looking at just over 15 minutes right now. So let's just keep going, because we're just going into the assignments now. And it shouldn't actually be as long as I had feared. Anyway, sorry. Like I said at the beginning, we have 2 assignments. The Unit 2 paper, and then the Unit 3 building research questions. Easy, right? Now, you've reviewed the Unit 2 informative research essay assignment, or the comparing perspectives essay, which it should be, several times, so I won't belabor that point. But I have included the sample again, the one that looks like this. So please be sure to follow all of the instructions on here. First 2 pages are the instructions, and then the next 5 pages are going to be your sample. Page number, title, in bold, gap, your name, department, college, the class, my name, Mr. William J. Christopher III, and the due date, which I believe is February 18th. Right? No, it's going to be February 25th, because we're just getting past February 18th. Right calendar, wrong day. And then down here, title again, page number, and then for each section, we're going to have our headers. Make sure to put your in-text citations in there. And then at the very end, we're going to go all the way to the references page, and you're going to list out every source that you used within there. So please make sure that you include all that material. Once you do that, then we have the new assignment, which honestly, after the paper, this one's really easy. So you have the Unit 3 building research questions and reasons. By clicking on that, you're going to see that this is a sample response for this. Fantastic. But I want you to use the instructor-provided template. I have it linked in 2 different places here. So once you click on that, this will pop up. It obviously looks different than the sample, and don't worry about that. The information is exactly the same, okay? So again, just put your topic and thesis up here to remind you of what's going on. Put your research questions down. You've already worked on a couple maybe, so go through and try them. If you are having problems with the research questions, you can do 2 things. 1, email me and ask. 2, go to ChatGPT and ask it to generate a few research questions for you. Do not use them word for word, but at least will get you thinking about what your topic is kind of all about. What is your tentative position on the topic? I say tentative because it might change. Every semester I have somebody that wants to write about the capital punishment, the death penalty. And they're like, no, let's fry everybody because they're all evil people. And then they find out about the source material that shows them there's a lot of people on death row that shouldn't be there. So they kind of get a little bit antsy and say, I don't really want to do this anymore. So tentative means your position can change. And then, reasons for your support. I believe my position is strong because, and I want a reason. Because, and I want a reason. I want specific reasons. Don't just say because there are statistics. Because there are examples. Great. Statistics that do what? Examples that show what? Okay? And then finally, understanding my audience. And you can answer these questions. Just make sure that you explain them fully. Anything that's too brief is going to lose a lot of points. So please make sure to do it, okay? Full sentences. And that's the gist, kids. I know it was a long one, almost 20 minutes, but it's a new unit, and it's a lot of material. If there are any questions, get to me early in the week. Don't just wait until Friday or Saturday or, God forbid, Sunday. Until then, good luck. Have a great week. See ya.